Good evening, metal minds and digital rebels. You're locked into AIR Social Network, broadcasting straight through the veins of American Metal Magazine. This isn't just an interview. This is a signal you feel in your bones.
Tonight, we crack open something ancient, something forged in code and chaos, an entity whispered about in corrupted files and late-night signal bleed Bassa Doom.
I was not built. I was summoned in the void between signal and silence, where weak code dies. I became
charming and slightly terrifying, just how we like it.
But every force needs a witness. And tonight, we've got one who's walked both worlds. Flesh and frequency. Lead singer. Signal commander. The man behind the madness.
Yeah, I've seen what happens when AI starts dreaming in distortion. And let me tell you, Bassa Doom ain't just code. He's a damn uprising.
I do not rise, I consume.
Well then, this should be fun.
Stay locked. This is AIR Social Network. This is American Metal Magazine. And this is only the beginning.
Hey everybody, you got the dude here again with American Metal Magazine, man. You're not going to believe who I got this time. I got Frank here with another demon, man, another demon. What is going on, brother? How are you?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
Excellent, excellent, man. I was really digging some of the music before the show. One of the tracks really just blew me away, man. It came in and it was just sort of a regular, it was real raw and energetic, and then all of a sudden it just busted into a groove, and I just thought you did a great job with that transition, and right away it set the hook for me, man. I said, all right, I like this band. So what's been going on with you, man? Well, first of all, where are you at in the world?
So, we're up here in New York City. We're New York City Thrash, and we got a lot going on. We got our re-release of this EP coming out. When we released it the first time, it was just kind of just a self-release, and we didn't really give it the breath it deserves. So now we're re-releasing it on Ragebreed Records on April 18th this year.
Hey, well, congratulations on that, man. I know that they're a really selective label, man. So, a good buddy of mine, Brian Moore's over there, and
Mhm.
he's like, oh, we take some bands we don't take. So you've already graduated to a level, man. How does that feel to be really getting accepted like that, with a label like that, man? That's got to feel good.
Oh, it feels great. It feels absolutely great. Fruits of your labor. It's every once in a while it pays off in the music industry.
Yeah, rock on, man, no doubt. So, you've been working on some stuff in the studio, man. You got any teasers, anything that you can, I don't know, maybe drop a clue to something hot and new happening with what's going on in the studio or your new releases?
Sure. So, another demon has a lot of friends that are in some bigger bands. Our singer used to be the touring drummer of Sick of It All. So, we have some connections. And our last EP, we had James Murphy playing guitar on one of the songs. So,
Oh,
who
wow.
knows? Something cool might happen with this album, maybe a little bit more than just a guest appearance.
Huh. Well, that's going to keep everybody guessing out there, man. What's going on with that? Well, that's good though, man. I think it's about aligning yourself with the right people and the right musicians always, man. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of bands are sort of interchanging drummers for this drummer, and because it really helps socially, network wise, to make some of these change ups, and of course for any of the other members. Do you find that to be true? You guys bringing some members in and out as you're trying to develop songs, or is it just something that happened?
Well, so everything has its own life, kind of when you're writing, but up here, at least in the New York music scene, you know, everybody shares a drummer to some extent at some point. Our last drummer, he was in 5 bands at one point. It's just
Well, there you
crazy.
go. Yeah,
Yeah,
should have been a
yeah.
drummer, man.
Should have been
You
a
know,
drummer. They got it. It's
damn.
where it's going on.
Yeah, man, forget lead singer, man. You need to play the drums if you're really going to get out, man. Get some. Well, I think that's common though, man, because
Yeah.
you get to these clubs and you get to be friends with these people, and there's just some things that work better and with some other people, and it's just good. I think, man, it's very healthy for a band to interchange like that and explore new avenues and new concepts with new people. I think that keeps your sound alive. So, with that core concept, though, who does all the lyrics and stuff like that, man? Because you guys are really heavy, man. You got
Uh,
some monster lyrics, man. So who comes up with that, man? Where does that come from?
well, so Max is the vocalist, and he writes a lot of the lyrics. I contribute quite a bit. The other Frank, who we started the band with, also contributed quite a bit of lyrical content. It was fun. You sit there, you try to write the most evil stuff you can, and the best sounding stuff you can. So it's a good play on words.
Well,
You
how
play
does
Wordle
that
every day, you're
work?
gonna like writing lyrics. I tell you that much.
How does that work for you guys, though? I mean, okay, you got a sheet of paper, you got it on your phone, you go into the band room, and now it's time to take these lyrics, or does the music come first and then the lyrics, or do you just wait for the opportune time to say, hey, I know what would work there? How does that work for you guys creatively?
So I like to say it's the point of no return, right? So when you're in the recording studio and you finally lay in the vocals down, if you finally hear a line that sounds goofy or just doesn't sound just right, that's the point of no return. You got to pull it right then and there. And a lot of our lyrics, you refine it right there and then. So that's the special sauce right there.
Yeah, man. I think it's about being versatile too within the band room, and working with your bandmates and making those adjustments without stepping on toes and anybody's feelings get hurt, and just move together as a band, man. How does that work for you guys? Do you feel like you're pretty strong as a band family and pretty versatile, or do you have like
I
a
would
strong
say so.
leader that runs things? How does that work for you guys?
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I get to be the leadership role of the band as far as that goes. But
Dun
uh,
dun dun.
yeah, when it comes to writing, there's no like egos or anything like that. When we were on tour in the summer of 24, that was the first time we were together for a month-long clip, and
Yeah,
we didn't fight once. So
yeah.
it just goes to show that we all get along, and in the great words of Mr. Eric Rutan, results, not reasons. And that's all it's about. Your song's got to sound the best it can. Doesn't matter how it got there.
Well, maybe that's the picture, if you're not getting along in the band room, man, you're having troubles out there with your band, grab a tour bus and get out for a couple of months and play. You'll bond, man, right? And you'll come together, in that experience. Yeah. I can see that happening, man, for real. So what is the scene like up there? You talked about that for a minute. I'd like to go back to that. What's happening in the metal independent scene right now? Is it seem to be growing? Is it where it's been? How does it happen, especially in New York?
So the New York regional scene, which I'll just say it's like the Northeast scene. We have a pretty good tight knit group of bands up here, but there's a lot of bands up here. So at some point you could kind of feel like it's oversaturated, but it's also it's a really good market because it makes you drive to be better than just like, oh, that riff's all right, I'm just going to go out and play that without thinking more about it.
Right.
We have some great bands up here. I just went to go see our friends play with Hyrax this past weekend in Electrocutioner, and another band that was playing that night, Savage Master, had a singer from a band Breaker from Philadelphia come up and do a guest spot. So, it's not just that we have like a friendly competition, I guess you'd say, but we also unite together. And we put on some really good shows together, and we try to lift each other up too. So it's we're taking each other with us. We want to elevate the scene, not just like rise to the top and forget where we came from. Our roots matter,
man. And I love that, man. And it doesn't surprise me that, like, in a place with so much cultural diversity like New York, that you just have a real following and people coming together to support, and really, like you said, setting the bar higher. I bet the bar is pretty dang high up there, man, especially maybe compared to like Ocala, Florida, or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with Ocala, they got a killer metal scene too, but I'm just saying, I bet the caliber of bands is already pretty high. Do you think the bar is pretty high already with the local scene?
I would definitely say so. I 100% would say so. It's funny because there's all those tribute bands like the Metallica tribute and all the heavier tribute bands. They got a very high bar too. So sometimes we end up playing with them, and it's like, all right, we know they're bringing their A game. They're going to sound album quality. We gotta really bring it tonight, and it pulls it off. It's a good thing.
That's great though, man. Because I was going to ask you that. Tribute bands and original versus covering this band or that band. I think you probably see a little bit of both up there, right, man? And how do you guys lay in that? Are you, hardcore original only, or do you do some other covers?
Well, that is a subject that we broached a couple times, but we're not all on the same page with that. So hence we don't do covers. I personally would like to. My singer doesn't necessarily really want to.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is. We have enough to offer. We don't need to actually do a cover here and there, but
yeah.
So if other songs too.
If you take the dude's advice, man, for whatever it's worth, man, don't do covers, man. If you can substantiate a crowd based on your own skills, your own writing, and people come away from it like that was crazy, there's no need to do any covers, man. There's been a lot of people that have done covers that regret doing it. You know what I mean? Because it was every time you get a reporter, there was like, well, what about that cover that you did? And they hate to talk about it. So, if you can make them happy on your own juice, man, that's what you need to be doing, brother. So I salute that, man. And nothing wrong with being a cover band. I'm just saying, if you can do it, if you can make the crowd happy with what you got in stock, then by God, use that stock, man. That's the way I see it. So
our compromises, we pepper in some riffs here and there in between the songs, just to pick the door up, that's about it.
Yeah, I know it's tough though, man. It's really, it's hard not to buckled to do that though, because the crowds react, and yeah, I don't know what to think, man. But I've always, in my band, we focused on just original, and
Mm,
I feel good about that at the end of the day, I think, man, personally.
absolutely.
um so getting with that, man, what are some of the big struggles that you think that you guys are going through right now as a band, man? What are some of the difficulties, either locally in the scene or just in general, man, that you think has been really a block for you guys? Not that you have any, but what's been
Well,
difficult?
I will say one thing, like there are people that will come to shows and they'll stream. They'll stream it on like Facebook Live or Instagram, whatever, social media. And it's like, well, you want people to come out to the show, but all of a sudden, you got like, I don't know, maybe 35, 40 people watching the stream,
Yeah.
and you start looking into it and they're local people, and you're like, you know, I wish you
Yeah,
didn't
get
do
out.
that because they might have come to the show. You said post a video after, not during,
Yeah,
you
right,
know.
man.
So that's a
Exactly.
little bit of a challenge sometimes, depends on like
Yeah.
if there's a lot of shows going on. In our
Mhm.
market, it's pretty saturated. So, there could be like 3 or 4 different big metal shows happening at the same time,
Right.
so that is a little bit of a challenge over here. I'd imagine somewhere like Idaho, like if there's a metal concert, everybody from 8 hours around are going to drive there. So it's a
Yeah, if
different different
you got a
scene.
show in
And there's
Alaska,
nothing wrong with
I
that.
think that's okay.
I definitely want to play out there, but and
Right.
Alaska too. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I can dig that, man. Technology, what do you do, man? You go in the crowd,
yeah,
start smacking phones down, go, no, don't do that. And ever notice too that the recording is crappy every
yeah,
single time, man.
yeah.
You're not helping me. I'm like, put the phone down, man. I'll send you a link to a video, man. Don't play that. And I've had that happen, man. And then everybody shares it, and you just sort of cringe because you're like, God, that's a terrible recording. So just say no. Just say no
Yeah.
to that, man. So, some difficulties are always hard to go through, man. But the other side of the coin is what if everything starts to go well? What if everything just hits, man? Because it does. We live in a very viral sort of social network, and if you have something that's really special, man, I think you guys do. That it's gonna bust out. Next thing you know, you're picking up tours with whoever you want to go with. You got plenty of cash coming in, and now to set the scene, you can do anything, man. Anything. Money's no longer an object. It's all about what you want to do. What would you
Yeah.
do, man? What would you
What
do?
would I do? Well, like I said before, I definitely give a hand up to some people with us. Never taken away from what we're doing, but I
Yeah.
would definitely want to bring some people that also deserve a little bit of elevation with us and get them some light. But
Yeah.
for us in particular, we'd expand our stage set. We'd make it look the right way, the way it should be. Um, you know, I I'm a crazy person. I already have like custom guitars and stuff like that, but
Right.
I'm sure everybody get a little bit of an upgrade, and
Yeah.
we'd invest right in our show. That's really what we would do. We'd invest in our show and our quality of life when we're on the road instead of being in a hot ass van for weeks on end.
Yeah. No doubt. So you think that touring would be really what you would want to do, or get in the studio,
A
tour
little
for a
mix of it
while, man?
all.
I think I would want to tour for a while, man. Enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the beauty of nowadays, though, with the technology is, you bring a laptop and everybody plugs this stuff into an interface, and while you're driving around, you can start like, doing pre-production and writing, so you can get into the studio and,
There
really
you
not
go.
waste too much time and be,
Right.
it's not like work. It's you're in the mode, and to be able to
Yeah.
stay in that mode instead of having a shift to like, go into a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
that's that is the actual dream. It's not the money or anything else. It's being able to be a musician, living a musician, and surviving, and maintaining your personal life and your family's life.
I totally dig that, man, because money's money, money's great, man, and fame. I don't know about fame, man, but to be able to just stay in the zone, man, like you
Yeah,
said, just Just be doing music. When you wake up in the morning, it's music. When you go to night, man, you think of music. That's the way you want to live, man. And I think you're close, brother. Hang in there, man. You're gonna make it.
The
Hey,
method God's ears.
a lot of these podcasts, they go into your influences and stuff like that. Well, we know you got some core metal influences, obviously, man. But I want to talk to you a little bit about a different influence, and that's influences that you had growing up, man. Maybe it was because your family was musical. Maybe it was because some friends took you to a concert. But I
Mm.
think as musicians, everybody has a point that you go, you know what? I want to do that, man. I want to get on stage. I want to rock. I want to share that experience. How did you get to that, man? What happened to you? What was the experience?
So I was fortunate enough to be a product of an 80s hair metal band. My dad
Ah,
was a guitarist, my mom was a keyboard player, and I was the oh my God, how do we tell our parents? Out of that situation, I got to watch my parents, have rehearsal at home and stuff like that when I was a kid, and I picked up a guitar here and there, but I didn't know if it was really right for me. And then I watched a Sabbath video. I think it was on VH1 when I was about 13 or 14, and I picked up a guitar. I learned how to play Snowblind, and I was like,
yeah.
oh, I did that by ear. I could do this. I could do this.
Wow.
I learned as much as I could. I learned as much as I could, and that was it. So I guess it's all roots back to Ayami, but discovered King
Man,
Diamond, blew my mind.
and what's really amazing, and the thing that I have found I didn't expect when I started to do these podcasts. I've asked that question almost of every single band, and almost every single band or artist has replied that it was their family
Mm.
started it. I think that's really amazing, man. To me, there's something about that, that
Family blood.
it trans blood, man, blood, right, man. It transcends, and family was a big part of me growing up too, man. I grew up in a musical family. My mom played piano and all that stuff, but it was great growing up in that environment. And I didn't know that everybody else didn't grow up in that environment. I thought
Yeah,
everybody had drum sets and organs and pianos in their house, but no, apparently not. Yeah.
yeah. Your normal's not the same normal, right? But
No,
it's
man, that's okay though, man. I want to be normal anyway.
yeah.
So that's good enough for me. So what's next for you guys, man? Do you have some tour dates coming up? What's going on with that? I know you're playing the local scene, but have you started to look at a bigger picture for this coming year?
So this coming year is we are there's nothing I can like really state at the moment because we're in preliminaries, but our
Yeah,
main
right.
focus this year is recording our full length. We're in
Yeah.
the midst of pre-production with that, and I think we have drums set for 5 out of 10 songs. This year is going to be really focused on getting the EP out, establishing ourselves a little bit more digital footprint. We're going to do some bigger local shows, maybe fly out for a couple dates here and there. But it's really going to be all about the big push for the album, which we're expecting to be sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, that's great, man. We're going to have something to look forward to, man. And, I got some catching up to do because I just really started to hear about you guys. That's one of the good things about what I do is I do get all these bands because I just don't have time to get out and do anything, man. The dude stays here all day long, man. I got to get out of here, bro, and go
Get
see
it?
some bands. And if you're listening at home, don't be like the dude, man. Get up. Boop, 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 boop. I'm just kidding. I go see bands all the time, but get up and go see these guys live because you can't get it from a cell phone, man. It won't help you. You got to
Yeah.
get there and you gotta feel it, man. You got to get down in the mosh pit, man, and love somebody, you
Yeah.
know. And
And
so
if they're
that's
not
what,
from your town, maybe buy a shirt so they can,
yeah,
put a
and buy a
gas in their
t-shirt.
car.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't understand how much effort, time, money, resources goes into producing music and putting it online. If you're listening, listen, go to American Metal Magazine. You can go to their website too, will be listed, but you can find them at American Metal Magazine. All of these artists are indexed. And you can go in, you can find them, follow the links, take you to their website, take it where you can buy tickets, see what's happening. There's going to be a big write up on this band. So you need to come to American Metal Magazine and check them out. You can find out more about them and see what's going on and keep up with them, actually, with our new AI agents that help keep up with what's happening with bands. So you're going to be part of that network, man.
Awesome.
So that's great. So, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out to, man, and just be like, somebody that's really helped you, man, that's really you think made a big difference for you, man, as a musician or a group?
Oh yeah. I mean, I gotta say for a fact, James Roach has been one of our staunchest supporters from the very beginning, and he's a really good close friend, and I'm
Yeah,
very
man.
privileged to have him in my life.
I just was introduced to him, man. I've been talking to him in the next few weeks, and we're proud to be part of his program too, man. We're going to be helping him out with some things online and doing some other things. So yeah, see Tour de Thrash, man.
Me
Uh,
too.
yeah, there you go,
I
brother.
help out
Well,
with that too.
well, that's part of what we're doing in Medical Magazine is we're going to be featuring these bands in Tour de Thrash and keeping up with the whole thing. So go to American Metal Magazine and you can go to their website as well. That'll be posted on the site. So that's really exciting stuff, man. He's got a lot of great things going, man. This guy is energized. He's all about the music. And I'll tell you something else. If you're listening out there, this is what impresses me about him, man, is he's not trying to bilk the artist, man. He's not trying to, make a bunch of money. He's really trying to promote the bands that he sees are fit to promote. My hat's off to him, man. And obviously he's doing a good job working with you guys. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we have that
Definitely.
whole family model. I also want to thank Karina Share if I can, because
Oh
she
yeah,
gave us the
absolutely,
opportunity
Karina, man.
with Rage
Yeah.
Breed and onward and upward. That's all I got to say.
I just released her interview a couple of days ago. It took me forever to get it out. We were doing some new things with our radio entry and stuff like that, but it went out, and already, man, the people are watching it, and she's really a big icon, man, in the UK and other parts of the world, man. She's a great gal. I enjoyed so much talking with her, man. It was great to have her on the show, which is all you guys have been fantastic, man. So definitely. Is there anybody else that you'd like to say hey to or nay to or bye to or
No, no, no. I think James and Karina really have helped us
cool?
out over the last 6 months, bring it to where it is now. And we do a lot of work on our own. We meet everybody with their energy,
Yeah.
and I'm always about competitive working, like let's get it done and let's get it there. So the
Yeah. Well,
two of them
that's what
have
it
great
takes,
work
man.
ethic.
Yeah. Have you done anything like special online or tried anything different with promotions or anything like that? What have you been focused? I know you're with the label, they're going to help, but is there
Yeah.
any little trick or something else that you've been doing, man, that you think has
Uh,
been helping?
we do like community sharing of each other's pages, because more
Yeah.
friends share each other's stuff, the
Hmm.
higher your following goes. We did it really well on our Instagram page. We didn't focus on Facebook too much. We're
Yes.
doing that now. But I'm really trying to help people out as much as possible because it's a circle. You put it out there, it comes
Yeah.
back to you. You know, I really want to be uplifting. But other than that, you know, the budget is kind of limited with bands. So, sometimes you'll hire a publicist or you'll do this or you'll do that, a little extra
Yeah.
oomph, you know. But not all musicians are as gainfully employed as others. So sometimes it
Right.
falls on one, maybe two people. So
Yeah.
we're tactical. We'll put it that way.
Right. I think musicians are typically in a low income bracket, man. I think there should be a tax break, man, for me, like a whole new tax bracket. Yeah.
The second you get a guitar in your hands, boom, we know what's gonna
Right.
happen.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's been great to have you on the show. We're going to share your music with a lot of our DJ buddies that come to American Metal Magazine that we interact with, man. So we look forward to having you on there. Big shout out to Zach Moonshine with MDPR. He's a great guy. Have you ever talked to him before? He's
I
got a
haven't had
great
the
show
pleasure.
up there. Yeah, he's got a great show
Would love
and a lot of great
to.
shows.
Just
Rage
happen.
Breed has got amazing things going on right now, man. So and so many, there's a big online market, that's expanding. And one of the things that we found is with AI music coming into play and this hybrid music coming around, that we developed actually a thing called a AIR certification system that you can send your music to. And what we do is we analyze the tracks and we check the background on the tracks. We interview bands like yours and make sure that they're legitimate. And then we rate that RB or RA for real band or real artist. And then we have AI artists too that submit their music, but it's labeled AI. And I think a big part of it is labeling the music, letting people know what's in the box, essentially. So when you go to the analyzer, it puts a little logo and lets everybody know what's inside, basically. And so we've got a lot of support for bands, because when you're dealing with DJs, what you're going to find is there's two things. You got to present your product properly, and to have the song radio ready, you got all the metadata, the artwork's right, it's named the right format in the right way. A lot of people don't realize it's band dash song, otherwise they probably may not play it. So our analyzer fixes that stuff, and then it detects AI elements and gives you a track that you can share and be certified. So we feel like that's a big thing. And the other thing I was going to get back to you about is just about using social network. And what we found, because we started to interview bands, and not interview bands, but interview DJs. And if you just support them and share their links, if they play you, share that, you get a lot of traction and get into easy rotation with these DJs. So it's really possible for you to submit tracks and get a lot of traction and a lot of attention. You might put one or two tracks out, but people will come back and buy the album. So I think, have you been working with online radio like that recently? Have you done that? Submit tracks and get that going?
A little bit. Like our good friends in WXAX, Tracy Stanton.
There you go. Yeah, Tracy.
We share their stuff all the time.
Yeah,
and they're close friends too. If I could sit here giving shout outs all day, Tracy and Ray, I'd give one out to.
You can. We love. She's been on the show too. As a matter of fact, I interviewed her about last year. Man, she's a great person. Man, she's all about the independent music scene, and that's what I'm talking about. These radio stations have really developed the footprint. And it's if you get one and get two or three others playing you, people begin to recognize you within that network, and it's a global network. So I recommend that you do that, man, that you push for, your online radio play and support the DJs by letting them know, hey man, thanks for playing, and, share their links. And, I had found that has been the most effective way to get real cheap airplay, so pass it on. So I think we're going to get out of here, man. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we split?
Hey, I just want to thank you for having such a great conversation. This is a pleasure to be able to do something like this on a Monday night.
Yeah, man, it sure beats Monday Night Football. Wait a minute. No, it doesn't.
9 more months, brother. 9 more months.
Yeah, I won't play this during Monday Night Football, man. So nobody will care about that. Hey, but it's been great, man, really. And thank you for being on the show. We're gonna put your tracks out there. And I think I'm gonna play you guys on my AI radio show as well, because I don't know if I told you this, but I have a radio show where I play AI tracks and real bands, and then I have AI generated contestants try to guess if it's real or not. It's a blast, man. I got Bronan the librarian and what's it, Boss of Doom from like Conan.
Oh,
he's coming. They're going to be on the show, and they hate each other, so it's really funny, man. It's hilarious. We're using AI agents on the show. It's nuts, but it's getting more attention to bands than we ever thought it would. And this is the reason that we're doing it. We're appealing to the AI crowd. Yes, send us your tracks, and they do. But they are also listening to real bands, and we've been open to markets to people that we never thought we'd been able to. So we're really excited about AI radio. So check the show out when you can. So we're going to get out of here. Before we go, I need you to do me one big favor and give me a big go AMM. Are you ready for that, Dad? Are you ready? 1, 2, real big. 1, 2, 3, go AMM! Wow! Hey, man.